Hey David, nobody can hear you.
Hey Sophia, can you hear us? All right.
so I'm grateful for that. My encouragement to all of you is to think external to SGA. The more legislation that you can do that focuses external to what happens in this room, I think the better off you are. I think it helps know that you're focusing on the needs and desires of the student body. If you spend more time talking about the meeting, Constitution, all important things, don't get me wrong, you do need to talk about them. But I would argue at the end of the year, you'd want more bills and resolutions talking about things external to SGA than you want internal to SGA. I think that shows success for what you do. Here to support you, happy that you are a part of the shared governance of the University of North Texas. So thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'm going to take a second because I don't want to take all of your time, but I want to talk a little bit about where we are with COVID. You will be receiving an email in the next 24 to 48 hours letting you know that we're extending the deadline for the mandatory testing. The rationale for that is we have to go in and get rid of the duplication. Some people are uploading a vaccination card as well as testing, and some are uploading multiple vaccination cards. So we have some duplications in our numbers, and we know that, and we're working through that process. But I have no more than about 14 or 15,000 students thus far that have completed the mandatory testing requirement. So either they've uploaded a test, or they've opted out and uploaded their vaccine card or a positive test from the last 90 days. That's not quite, it's a little more than a third of our students, considering we're at 42,000 students. There's no way that could happen before Friday, especially if you're going to be able to get tested on campus. And so the president decided to extend the deadline, but knowing that it won't be extended again. So I'm going to get that message to you all, because it's important that that message gets to all of our students. The whole intention of the mandatory testing program is to create a data point that we can utilize to be able to make decisions about keeping our campus safe. We've known all along, students have told us that they want to be open, and I think you're showing us that. The number of students that are on campus, that are engaged, that are taking advantage of the opportunities for events on campus is a pretty amazing thing. And we love that. And being in student affairs, I'm very excited about that, because I know how difficult it was last year. But we want to do it in the safest way possible. And so all the reason for us to have the mandatory testing program, to create that data point, allowing vaccinated people to opt out. And I know that's a point of contention for some, because we know that people who have been vaccinated can spread the virus. They're less likely to do so, but they can spread the virus. But we know that the vaccine is the way out of all of this. And so we want to continue to incentivize that. Thus the rationale for being able to opt out of the mandatory testing with a vaccine card. So all of that will continue. We've updated the health alert site as of last Friday to our current numbers. We'll continue to update that every Friday. Well, David, if he wants to pull it up, feel free to do so, but you don't have to. We were sitting at about I can tell you not about, I printed it before I left just so I have it. I think we were sitting at 151 last Friday. Yes, 151, 133 of those cases had some campus impact, meaning that the person that tested positive had either lives on campus, had been on campus, had been to an event. Didn't mean that they were here during their infectious period. It just meant potentially they could have been. And so we'll continue to monitor those numbers. When you look at comparators for us across the state, there's a couple that I think makes sense to utilize. Our mandatory testing program is based upon the one that Texas A&M created. So I always use them as a comparison. And their numbers are, even though they're not 4 times as big as we are, or 5 times as big as we are, their numbers last night were 1,226. So their numbers are definitely higher than ours. Texas State also a good comparator to ours. They have the same number of students that live on campus. They're 6,500. We have 6,400. Their number was sitting at 215. Texas Tech is about relatively the same size as we are, about 40,000. They're at 354. And so I think that when you look at our comparisons across the state, these are also institutions that are fully open, that have not lessened the density of their classes. Paid attention to, there are a couple of other institutions across the state, even in the Metroplex, UTD, UTA, 2 examples where they've lessened the density, and that a class may meet twice a week, but half the class meets one day, the other half the class meets the other day. and they're hopeful that that will help them. We consider that as one of our options when we were looking at what to do to try to provide as safe an environment as we possibly could. But there's not necessarily a data point that we can get out of that. Positivity rate from a test made a lot more sense, as well as identifying the number of people that wanted to participate either in the vaccine incentive program or opting out of that mandatory testing would also be a way of helping us know how many people were protected across campus. So we'll continue to look at all of the data, what's happening. You look, it's kind of a mixed bag across the Metroplex even itself. Dallas County numbers seem to be going down. Tarrant County numbers seem to be going up. Denton County numbers are about the same. We think that it depends on who you listen to. So whatever expert that you want to listen to on the weekends or at night or whatever channel you listen to, you're going to hear different things. But many of them are saying that we should be getting close to the peak. And if that's the case, that's good news for all of us. We want to be at the peak and moving down on the other side. And hopefully that will happen for us very, very soon. But we're going to continue to monitor the situation. There are committees that meet and talk, update students once a week, get input from them as well, student leaders across campus. And so our hope is that we're getting as much information out to you all as we possibly can in creating as safe an environment as we possibly can. I love seeing all of you wearing masks. Makes me really happy. Can't require you to, but we know that it inhibits the spread. So that's a great thing that you're doing. Love it. And hopefully many of you are getting vaccinated, because we do believe truly that's what the research tells us. If you're vaccinated and you don't have an underlying condition, the vaccine works and that it keeps you from getting into the hospital and dying. It's like 0.0005 level of deaths for those that are vaccinated. And there's not any research just to support somebody dying or somebody dying that's been vaccinated that didn't have an underlying condition. So we'll continue to monitor the research. We have our chief medical officer, who is our executive director of our health center, and we also confer with many other professionals, including the epidemiologists at the UNT Health Science Center. So lots of discussions, and we'll continue to have discussions. But I tell you, I look forward to the day when we're not talking about COVID. I'd much rather be talking about it in our rearview mirror as opposed to ahead of us. So hopefully that will be soon. So I'm going to throw it open to you all for questions. Let me know what questions you have, and I'll be happy to try to answer. If I don't know the answer, Krista Coffey always does, so I will defer to her otherwise. Krista, in advance.
All right, do we have any questions for Dr. Witt? Ted, go ahead with your mic.
So thanks for being here, Dr. Witt. Even as the university operations begin to return to normal, the pandemic still threatens to reverse any progress we've made in the past few months. Several members of my constituency have tested positive for COVID and have been sent home as a result. My question for you is, why has the university not committed itself to providing more support to those members of our community who test positive, even in the form of financial support to cover any additional costs?
So for our residents, we asked them to come to campus with a plan that we knew that we did not have space. We made a decision in the spring semester, early spring semesters, spring semesters numbers were going down, and the vaccine was available. Everybody in the world believed that we would be through this by that point in time. We made the decision to tear down College Inn, and that's a decision we can't go back on. We also made a decision at the same time that we were going to be fully open. And knowing that we have a mandatory housing requirement for our freshman students, knowing that we needed to accommodate all of them. So that's part of it. This Delta variant started coming right as we were beginning to open for the fall semester. And so we did what many institutions did last year. There are many institutions that did not provide a space for students to quarantine on campus for their residents. We asked people to have a plan. We've had very few issues. We are not kicking anybody to the street. So if the perception is that I have COVID, I must quarantine off campus or isolate off campus. Positive, I would isolate. And I don't have any place to go. We will work with the students. We have not sent anybody off into the wild blue yonder that didn't have a place to go, and we won't do that. But by and large, most everybody has a place to be. They've made plans, either with family, friends, whatever that looks like, to be able to quarantine off campus. In places where a student is in a private room with a private bath, they can quarantine or isolate in their own space, and we will continue to allow that. Now, as far as support, I'm going to argue with you a little bit because I think we have quite a bit of support. The Dean of Students Office is helping students work with their faculty members and notifications of faculty if they need it. And we also have a COVID support team that reaches out to anybody who has to quarantine or isolate off campus to see if they need anything and how we can help, even trying to engage them. So we'll continue to do all of that. And we continue to have the food pantry and other things to be able to help support students who have housing, who have food insecurity and other things. TARF money has been available to students and we've made that readily available. So we'll continue to do all of that as our funds are available. If you've got students who have concerns, who need money, who need help, or who feel like they don't have the support they need when they need to go into isolation or quarantine, please have them call me or email me. I'll be happy to talk to anybody about it. But we're working with students individually as best as we can. You want me to call on people, or do you want to call on people?
I can.
Okay, I'm happy
no,
to. I just don't want to take
or
it.
whatever works for you, Dr.
It
Wood.
doesn't matter. It's up to you.
Let's do Senator Velasco.
Good afternoon, Dr. Wood. Senator Tessa, thank you for being here. So in one of my classes, a student tested positive, and our professor, out of an abundance of caution, wanted to move our classes to Zoom. It is an in-person class. However, the university did not allow that and forced her to have an in-person class. To elaborate why this would have happened.
So anytime somebody tests positive, well, first and foremost, we made the decision to be open because that's what two students told us they wanted to do. And that remote learning was not what they wanted. It was not what it was all cracked up to be. They didn't learn as much. And so that's a huge concern for us. That's why you're here. So we feel like the best experience, the best learning environment is in person. There are online courses that are made and designed to be online, and there are courses that are designed to be in person. So if the course is designed to be in person, it needs to be in person. In any case where a student is identified to be positive, contact tracers take a look, talk to the case, and then take a look at the class itself and make determinations of close contacts. They're going to pull anybody out of the classroom that shouldn't be in the classroom. So shouldn't be any fear from any of you that you're potentially sitting beside somebody who was positive or identified as a close contact. Those folks are told not to go to class. And we're following the CDC guidelines, so there's some exceptions to that. If you're vaccinated and asymptomatic and identified as a close contact, you don't have to quarantine. That's what the CDC says, and we're going to continue to abide by that. But you shouldn't fear for that. I can't speak to the individual class that you're talking about. I can just tell you overall direction given to all faculty that no classes need to go to remote status because somebody tests positive in the classroom. There's not a danger that somebody else is going to catch it that way.
All right, let's do Senator Vargas.
So I have a question. Is there a planning progress if things go to worse for us to go back to a hybrid mode or an online mode?
So we don't, yes and no. I mean, I don't want you to think that we don't know what the fatalistic, let's push the red button option is. We know what it is because we did it in March of 2020. None of us want to go back there. So that's why we're doing what we're doing right now. Having the mandatory testing, strongly encouraging the wearing of masks, encouraging people to get vaccinated, having vaccines available on campus, having multiple places to test on campus. That's why that's all there. And so we're going to continue to do that and evaluate the data and make decisions based upon that. That's why this mandatory testing program is really important to what we're trying to accomplish on campus. So if I'm here to tell you, is there a magic number? There's not a magic number. I mean, Texas A&M has 65,000 students, and they have 5 times as many cases as we do, and they're still open. They're still able to handle that load. So it just depends on what's happening, what the conditions are on campus and in the community itself that will lead us to make decisions, what we can do to keep our campus safe. We're able to keep up with the positive cases. Contact tracing is keeping up with that process. Our health center is able to keep up. The students that are visiting, we still have vaccines available. The community still has vaccines available. So we'll continue to evaluate all of that and make decisions based upon the data that we have. We really want to provide the safest environment we can, but have the most open, successful environment we can have for students too.
All righty, Senator Grant.
Good afternoon, Dr. Wood. Again, thank you for being here. One of my constituents approached me, actually came up with a rumor that they hold, or some crazy conspiracy theory, that once, let's say October, I believe it's when the deadline to drop out or do what you need to do to get out of your class is up and the money's been transferred and all that, that the university is just going to take the money and run and go back to virtual learning. Was there any truth to that, or is it just going to be we're full in person unless, you know, the absolute positively worst happens?
The latter. We have no intention of closing. No intention of closing. And, you know, is there revenue generated on a college campus, on a public college campus? Yes, but we're a nonprofit organization. So if there's this thought that the more money that comes in, the more money that goes into the hands of people, not true at all. There's not dividends that get passed along to leadership or to anyone, even to board members. That doesn't happen. So there's no incentive to do what the rumor is. And so we will continue to stay open. Our desire is to stay fully open. We never closed in the spring of 2020. We knew that we had residents that would have no place to go. We've never fully closed. And I don't anticipate that we would ever fully close. But our intention is to remain fully open. And we're doing all that we can. Got lots of people working 14, 20-hour days to make sure that that happens. We want you all to have the best and safest experience possible.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Senator M. Can we give him a different mic? We can't. I can't hear him.
Is the university prepared to facility that still like not even half of the over half of the student body of this mandatory testing? I know that it says that if they don't test, they will be like there's a possibility of not understanding. They need to be fully prepared to go through everything, possibly over half of the student body.
We are, but I hope it doesn't get to that. I mean, I really feel like we've got a great campus community who cares about the safety of each other. Caring is one of our fundamental values, and I see it all the time. You're doing it now. I can't require you all to wear masks, yet here you all are wearing masks. Care about yourselves and others, and that's an important thing. I believe that people will do it. They just need to do it. And so there's a lot of work yet still to be done, but are we prepared to take disciplinary action, to put a warning on everybody, on those who choose not to satisfy the requirement? We are. We are. And what the president wants to be out there for everybody with this 10-day extension, it is basically, this is your warning. If you don't want to, please, please, we're appealing to you to be compliant with the mandatory testing. So please take the time to be able to make that happen. We've given you plenty of time to do it. So please do.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
All right. Would someone like to recognize the speaker in the back corner? Someone's going to make that motion.
Senator Quiventoro recognizes the speaker in the back corner.
Is there a second?
Senator Johnson, second.
Can we get a mic for them?
Hello.
Hello.
So recently, one of my classes, someone had tested positive for COVID. However, there wasn't a notification from the university stating that we had a positive case in our class until one of my professors brought it up. Can you shine some light on that?
So we can only notify when we know. So depending upon when somebody tests positive and where they test positive, that information gets sent through the COVID email to our contact tracers. And we've got folks working full time. That's what they do, and they make the notifications. So unless, without a name, I can't give you a specific response, but I can tell you, are there situations where a student might notify us today that they tested positive 8 days ago? It is possible. We'll count that case. We'll contact trace that case. but we can't do anything unless we know. So that's why all that encouragement is out there to monitor your symptoms, make sure that if you test positive, that you're telling people. The sooner we isolate the virus and get it off campus, the more successful we'll be. So in that particular situation, my gut tells me is that we didn't know. I don't know why we didn't know. I'm happy to look into the particular issue, but would prefer that we not give specifics in public place. So if you want to talk to me offline, I'm happy to do that.
All right. Senator Andy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Dr. Witt, you mentioned that classes designed for in-person are not designed for online teaching. Several constituents of mine have noted their teachers have told them that their class is either in-person or online, not both, and they'll make that choice at the discretion of the university. What should quarantining students expect when teachers will not design hybrid classes with equal merit and support?
So we're treating, if someone has to quarantine or isolate, the same thing that would happen if you were sick in this class. And so whatever accommodations that the faculty member is willing to make, and they know best for their class, what makeup work would need to be done in order to be successful in that class. So if I'm missing class because I'm sick, or in which I have to quarantine or I have to isolate, it is up to the faculty member to make that determination on how a student can be successful in that class.
Follow-up question, Mr. Speaker?
Okay.
So 10 days quarantine could be up to 6 classes. I don't know a whole lot of people who are sick for that long. And that's not really normal for teachers to accommodate.
No, but they knew going into this exactly how we were going to handle it. And so they should have mechanisms in place to be able to tell students what they need to be doing if they have to quarantine or isolate. Those were the instructions that came from the provost down through academic affairs.
So the question is, if a teacher is not doing that, will the university help students and how?
Yes, go to the dean of students office. They'll be happy to advocate on your behalf. And if you don't hear what you need to hear there, don't get help, come to me. But I think you'll get help from the dean of students office.
Senator Andy, Zoe, can someone get Mike Zoe back? So go ahead. Oh, sorry. Can someone recognize Zoe to speak?
Senator,
Go ahead.
Senator Quinn recognizes her to speak.
Senator Velasquez seconds.
All right, Zoe, you have the floor.
Hello. So I have a class that meets twice a week, once on Mondays and once on Wednesdays. However, the first class is simply for discussion. We don't stay there all the time. And then the second, we do our work on Pearson Rebel. So I was just wondering, the classes that you said that can't be done in person, is there not a way that it can be kind of translated to this method instead?
So the classes are designed by the instructors. And so I don't know what class you're talking about specifically, how it's been taught before. I can tell you that in-person classes are designed to be mostly in person and not mostly not in person. So there are online courses that are designed to be online. And so very different from taking an in-person class and putting it online. I've been very honest. I teach graduate classes, have for several years. I haven't taught in a couple of years. But if I had been teaching the spring of 2020, I would have been your worst instructor ever, because I would not have known how to take my class from an in-person environment to a virtual environment. I'm very grateful that I wasn't doing that, because there's some skill, obviously, that you need to be able to make that happen. What we heard from students is that it wasn't the experience that they hoped. That's why we've said that we're going to be fully open and that in-person classes need to be in person. Now, how many of you have been here longer than, who was here before spring of 2020? Raise your hand. Not all of your in-person classes met every single class period. Sometimes you had project work to do outside of class. Sometimes your faculty member was presenting a paper and you didn't have class. You had to walk that day. So are there times when your in-person class may not meet in person? Yes, that's always been the case, but the majority of your in-person class should be in person. We know that's when students are successful.
I have a follow-up question as well. So this same class I'm speaking of, we currently transitioned where if you're comfortable attending in person, you can, but for the most part, you're also welcome to join via Zoom. which I've done this past week, and I think there were 18 other people with me as well on there. And instead of doing in-person discussion, we did it via Canvas or whatever. So I was just wondering, is this something like you said earlier, that's at the university's discretion? Because I'm not sure if this is something that my professor got approved first.
I don't know the answer to that. I'd be happy to help you look into it if you would like. But I prefer not to do it in a public environment if we can.
Okay, thank you.
Feel free to send me an email.
Alrighty, Senator Velasco.
Dr. Wick, you mentioned that the university was prepared to take consequences for students that did not meet the mandatory testing requirements. Can you elaborate more on what those consequences would be?
A written warning on a student's file and their conduct file. And so we've said that in and of itself will not trigger someone being suspended or expelled from the institution. If somebody has a conduct file already, that one written warning should not trigger another event to happen. If we have subsequent testing periods and there's subsequent similar violations, that could warrant subsequent disciplinary action. But the whole intention is that, are we willing to do it? Yes, we are willing to do it. We mean it. I don't want to.
Alright, Senator Ventura.
Thank you. So I've got a history class that meets in the BLV 3 times a week, and it's a massive auditorium type of class. So there's no seating chart. There are no numbers on the seats. So me and my friends go in there. We sit in the front where we need to, sit in the back. Just depends on where people are sitting that day. And since there's no seating chart, the closest thing we have to, I guess, knowing where people are is just a simple attendance sheet. You initial by your name. If you're present that day, you don't if you're not. And so my question is, how does contact tracing work in those cases where you only know where students are within the classroom? You only know if students are in the classroom, but you don't know exactly where they are within that classroom.
We would rely on the case to be able to tell us that. And so if you're the positive one, we would be asking you who sat around you, who was within 6 feet of you for 15 minutes, not just in class, anywhere. So whether that was you eating with friends in the dining hall, whether that was you attending a student organizational meeting, whether that was you being in class, we would rely on you. We don't have seating charts for everything, but the seating charts aren't mandated. They're optional for faculty.
Follow up, Mr. Speaker. If I'm being honest with you, Dr. With, I know 6 people in that class maybe. So what if there's a bunch of people sitting in front of me, a bunch of people sitting back of me that I have no idea about it? How would we protect them?
You can't. So in the same way that you would, if you go to a restaurant and you're around people and don't know who they are, that happens to you all day long. It's not different in the 12 to 15 hours a week that you're in class either. We want you to be cognizant of your surroundings. We want you to be safe. We want you to be wearing a mask. We want you to be vaccinated for all of those reasons. Can't control all of the environments that you're in. And I don't think you want us to control all the environments that you're in. At least that's what I hear from most of you. We're doing the best we can with the information that we have to contact trace. But institutions, by and large, have done a lot more than county health departments have done. I don't know for any of you that have been outside of the collegiate environment or know somebody outside of the collegiate environment that's tested positive. Many of those folks don't hear from the county health department until 30 or 60 days later, and it's a letter just telling them what they should do to take care of themselves. But they have not been able to identify close contacts in many other ways the entire time, just by course of the volume. So we are working through the volume as best as we can, but we're going to take it from you if you're the case for your close contacts. We don't have a seating chart for that class.
Intern in the back.
I heard a lot of students being turned away from the courses.
Can you speak a little bit clearer? Or
The students being turned away from the health sector because there's not the resources. Students being in the union. Is there a plan to get more of these resources?
I'm not aware of anybody being turned away because we haven't run out of supplies. Some other campuses have. We just opened another curative site. There's a kiosk over by the Goolsby Chapel, so just north of Maple Hall. There's an outdoor location. that can process as many tests as they can in the union. And so we've expanded our capacity by a third on September 1st. So we'll continue to do that. If we need more sites, we'll do that. But thus far, we have not maximized all of our sites the entire time. The one that I know that is used the most is the rapid test at the health center. They're pretty much between 250 and 300 tests a day that they do, those Binax Now rapid tests. But they also do PCR tests in the health center. If you see a physician, if you see a provider, you're sick, you go in and a provider says that we think you need to have a test. They do additional tests there too. So we've already opened one other location of Curative by Goolsby. If there's a need to open more, we can. But right now, those aren't being maxed out. We're monitoring the numbers to make sure. Now, there can be lines at certain times during the day. That's why we're encouraging students to wait till the last minute. But you can make an appointment online based upon the times that are available.
Hey, other entry.
Okay, if a lot of the student body doesn't get tested by the deadline, let's say like half or even still at the same level that there is there a plan to figure out how to get more students informed that there is like mandatory testing? Because especially for the freshmen, because I've talked to a lot of people that had no idea that there was this going on and that it was so soon. So I was just wondering, because a lot of, especially freshmen, I guess, don't check their emails, and it's kind of, something that I guess, I get that they have to have consequences for not, checking that, but I feel like there should be some other way for students to get informed about that that's more accessible.
I am open to any suggestions you have as far as communication, because we're doing all that we can. We put it on Canvas, so we've had multiple announcements that have been gone onto Canvas, so when you log in, you see them there. In fact, I double checked it again today just to make sure it was up there.
Okay,
That's been on there for freshmen specifically, especially ones that live in housing. Housing knows, and so RAs are aware, as well as community directors that are helping to communicate as well, talking to student leaders, hoping to get the information out that way. Faculty will be making announcements in classes as early as tomorrow, talking about it. So if you have other ideas about how to get to all of our various student groups, I am all ears. Happy to do it in as many ways as possible. Because I agree with you, I want the information out there.
Oh, yes, I agree totally. I liked that we had that video for like the first week of class about like the mask mandate, and then everybody had to watch it, so maybe that's something to include in the next one. Okay. But if teachers and professors are saying that, then that definitely will help, because I just know I talked to a ton of people just in this past week that have been like, what? There's testing? So yes, thank you.
No, thank you.
All righty, let's do Senator McAdams.
Hello. I have two things. So like she said, I recommend talking to professors to talk through their classes, since I know if I get an announcement on Canvas, I just kind of exit out of it and move on with my life. And I feel like a lot of other students would probably do that too.
And I would encourage you not to do that.
You can, but
because when you graduate and you get a little email from somebody that says you owe $500 by Friday, or we're going to kick you out of your apartment, you might not have X'd that out. So, and I say this jokingly with all of you, but you do have a responsibility to the community to read your email and to read what's on Canvas. It's in the code of conduct. We talk about that you have a responsibility to do all those things. You're required to read your university email. That's our primary means of communication with you. Do I know that you don't read it? Heck yeah, I know you don't read it. I have two of you. One of mine just graduated and another's a sophomore. So I know darn well they're not reading their emails, because I send them email to their university accounts and they don't read them. So I get it, but it doesn't mean it's right. And so it's an opportunity to reinforce good behavior. So I'll continue to do that for the however many more years I have left in work. So sorry for being on the soapbox, but I need you guys to get used to that, because there are consequences to not following through with the responsibilities, and this is one of them that we're hoping to avoid. So keep going. I'm sorry I cut you off.
I'm not saying that it's good that I don't do that. I'm just saying that I understand that students need to, but most don't. So like she said, I highly recommend talking to professors about talking about it in class, since hopefully students are attending class.
Hopefully, yes.
And that would get the word out to at least them. And for my second thing, If students continue to not, I know you mentioned disciplinary actions, but if they continue to not get tested or get vaccinated, not submit any of that, and a large portion of the student body isn't doing that, and they're continuing to go to classes and continuing to put everyone at risk, do you anticipate any further action that will be taken to prevent them from attending classes and spreading it, or is that just the disciplinary action?
The disciplinary action is what we were looking at right now. I can't tell you what's gonna happen in the future. I can just tell you what's gonna happen for this first testing interval that's been extended to September 20th. We'll look at all the data, the number of cases we have, the number of people that follow through with the directive, the mandate, how many have opted out because of vaccines. We'll take a look at all of that, what's happening in the local community, vaccine availability, all of those types of data points we'll utilize to make decisions about the future. So I can't tell you what that's gonna be, but will we look at it? Yes, for sure we will look at it.
Just making sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's not all for naught. This is not an exercise. Believe me, there are a bunch of staff that are working through and validating records. This is not, we're not doing it just because they got nothing to do. They've got plenty to do.
Well, someone like to recognize Devin to speak.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recognize President SGA to speak.
Senator Quinn, seconds.
All right, Devin, you have the floor.
Thank you, thank you. Well, that's fun. Okay, so I actually have a two-parter. It's not actually something that's come up in previous conversations I've had since we'll probably get into it a little bit. And if there's a student who comes to a class showing symptoms, now it could be COVID or it could be, something else. Does the professor have the right to ask them to leave the classroom in quarantine? Or are they allowed to stay in the classroom?
They're allowed to stay in the classroom. The assumption, so if you think about HIPAA laws and everything that governs your health, anybody's got the ability to go if they test positive, and most instructors aren't going to know that unless the student tells the instructor. We aren't telling the instructor who the positive is. Most students are notifying their instructors that they've tested positive, but they can encourage anybody, and so in that particular situation, what faculty have been encouraged to do, if anybody is showing symptoms, then they don't know where those symptoms are coming from and they haven't been diagnosed, encourage you to go see a physician. But this time of year, allergies are abundant. There are many reasons for people to have a runny nose. And any physician will tell you that just because you have a runny nose doesn't mean you don't have COVID. It doesn't mean you have COVID. By the same token, I have a runny nose, I might have COVID. So my encouragement to all of you is if you have a runny nose and you don't know that you have allergies, I have seasonal allergies. I take Allegrity every day and have for the last, 15 years. If my nose is running still, it's probably a problem for me just because I'm taking medicine. So either there's something really bad in the air, but if there's not, I probably should get tested or go see my physician. So it's both sides. The responsibility falls on both sides, but can a faculty member keep a student out of class? No, class is a property right. They've got the right to be there. They've got to have reason to remove the student.
Am I going to ask a follow-up? Okay. I understand the seasonal allergies in the same way. It's no fun. But in terms of the, because I think, was it Senator Cleveland-Tor perhaps asked a good question. I've actually been in a kind of a larger class. It was actually Dr. Lim's class, the debate class. And actually one of the events that they have in that class is you put on a toga and you pretend to be philosophers. Honestly, his class is the best. And I saw that they did something like that recently, but that does involve interacting with different people than who you might have been sitting with, of course, and all that kind of stuff. This may be a rephrasing of Zoe's question, so if it is, I apologize, and we can move on. But if there's extenuating circumstances like that in which the contact tracers are having issues identifying who exactly you might have been with for a prolonged period of time, could there be exceptions made to the guidance requiring something to be in person? I understand, it's supposed to be an in-person class, but, I also understand, if it's a situation where students are afraid to be in the classroom, they might not be able to learn as well, if that makes sense.
Kind of. So I'll reiterate that in-person classes are in-person classes. We're going to rely on the case to to identify people around them who are their close contacts. And I guess what I'll tell you is that this semester isn't any different than other semesters. So we have always relied on the case to identify close contacts, and we'll continue to do so. I think our numbers are reflective of a very conservative approach to the virus. We're doing more than many of our peers across the state and institutions that are doing contact tracing. Some of them aren't even calling the cases and talking to the cases. They're literally sending emails, and some are doing so. They have so many cases that they're so far after the dates, they can't keep up with theirs. And so we'll continue to keep up with ours and do all that we can. But the provost has been very clear about that that's not a reason to take, if you have one positive in a classroom, that's not a reason for that class to no longer meet in person.
Thank you.
All right, Senator Tovar.
In that case, would a student that does not want to be in that classroom be penalized for not wanting to be there?
That student would need to just contact their instructor. So try to work through whatever their instructor will allow them to do.
Well, with that being said, I was listening while I was coming home from work, and you also said that in-person classes are meant to be in person for a reason. So in the case that a professor really doesn't want to work with that student, yes, contacting the dean of students would be the right route, but shouldn't there be, I guess, a way for the actual instructors to, I guess, be understanding of the situation? Like, shouldn't that be addressed as a staff issue?
Well, go back to my example that I gave before, that I would have been the worst instructor online, taking my class from in-person to a virtual class. I would not have been good at that. For students, we've told them all along that if you want online courses, take online courses. And if a student is concerned at this juncture and has concerns about being in person in a class and they're required to be in class, go talk to your academic advisor and see if there's anything that can be done to switch out classes. But being able to say that we're going to change this course for one person, faculty member does not have to do that.
Well, it's not that, it's that most courses are offered both online and in person. For example, an English class, right? So let's say like someone in my class tested positive in my English class, and a few of us didn't feel comfortable anymore, and our professor didn't want to accommodate for virtual, even though they have a virtual session for the class. In that scenario, like, you know what I mean?
You'd have to talk to your instructor. I can't speak to that specific. I can tell you in general terms that in-person classes are in-person classes and online classes are online classes.
So at that
I can tell you what the provost has instructed faculty to do through the deans. But if a student has concerns, and if I've had a student who has had concerns and told her to go meet with their academic advisor and see if she can change her classes to be online, that's the only advice I can give to you. We promoted being fully online and encouraged students to take the courses that they felt comfortable doing, whether that was online or whether that was in person.
We're gonna move on to Sophia for our next question, just so we get everyone. Sophia, in the chamber, the audio's been cut because y'all, but I'm gonna repeat your question, but we can hear through my iPad, but go ahead.
Okay, I motion we move to the next portion of our agenda and direct any further questioning to Dr. Witt's email.
We move to continue with the items on the agenda, and any questions can be moved or can be emailed to Dr. Witt. So for around seconds. All right.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Is an objection in order?
Yes. I mean, we can vote on if someone objects.
Senator Craven-Torr objects.
All right. Do we want to? All right. Yes, we have to do a roll call vote. 2/3.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's get the PowerPoint so we can see everyone's beautiful faces. Okay. Senator Maria, if you can start roll call.
Senator Hester,
Point
So-
of clarification,
Yes.
are we voting for the objection or against the objection?
Yeah, so we're voting on moving on to the next item and directing any further questions to Dr. With via email. So
Thank
because
you.
there's an objection, we're gonna make sure that Senate can make that decision with a majority 2/3. So that's what we're doing roll call. So Senator Hester, so this is, we vote yes to move on and send emails is A, and then no is to continue with period of questioning.
A. Senator Shiloh.
Senator Shiloh. Senator Velasco.
Yes, would be.
Yes would be to move to the next item on the agenda and send any further questions to Dr. With.
Senator Brown.
Aye.
Senator McAdams. Aye. Senator McDowell.
No.
Senator Rosario Vargas. Aye. Senator Bailey.
Aye.
Senator Banerjee. No. Senator Castellanos.
Aye.
Senator Garcia Vasquez.
Aye.
Senator Johnson.
Aye.
Senator Mosley.
Aye.
Senator Sanchez Martinez.
No.
Senator Tovar. No. Senator Von Boris.
Aye.
As an aye vote.
Senator M. Senator Cowell. Aye. Senator Nguyen. Aye. Senator Schulte. Aye. And Senator Cleveland.
No. Senator McDowell, what's the threshold for 2/3 based on members in attendance?
15, Mr. Speaker.
15. Okay.
There was only 14 yes votes, so the motion fails.
We are continuing a period of questioning. Do we have any more questions for Dr. With? Senator McDowell?
Thank you. You suggested that the deadline was extended because only 14,000 out of 400, or excuse me, out of 42,000 students have been tested.
Approximately 14,000. Don't hold me to that number because I don't know exactly.
Approximately.
Right.
How many of the approximately 28,000 remainder have been exempted from the testing requirement?
I don't know the answer to that.
Thank you.
Can someone recognize JT to speak?
Senator.
Senator Simon, second.
All right, JT, you have the floor.
All right, well, thank you, Dr. West, for being here, and thank you for all the great questions that have been asked today. As an executive member and as someone who is a former senator, it seems like a lot of the questions are being asked in several different ways. And so I'm making a more so a question to you, Dr. West. Would you be open to coming back to another Senate meeting in the future or a closed Senate meeting with senators for more intimate and personal questions that can be asked so that we don't take up people's time who have other obligations here today?
I am happy to come back. I've offered to come every week and do a COVID update and answer questions. If you want me here, I will come as often as you want me here.
Hey, David, there was a comment in the chat.
I'm doing any sneak. Give me a second. JD says 2/3 is 14. Senator McDowell. Because I know there's some senators not present.
How many senators been in session?
There is 22 senators. The only absent senator is Senator.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but 2/3 of 22 is 14.6 repeating, which requires a 15 positive vote.
No. Okay. You had a point of information.
There's 21. But before that, point of information, who recognized JT's and who was the second?
Senator Shiloh. Okay. Next question, Senator Cowell.
Senator Cowell moves to a period of voting on having Dr. Worth come do a COVID update every Senate meeting.
Is there a second?
Senator McDowell.
Sorry. Go ahead. I mean, anyone can second.
Senator McDowell seconds.
Let's do a roll call vote for that. Get the screen going again. Senator Maria Velasco. Sorry. All right, go ahead.
Senator Hester. Aye. Senator Shiloh. Aye. Senator Velasco. Aye. Senator Brown.
Nay.
Senator McAdams. Aye. Senator McDowell.
Aye.
Senator Rosa Vargas. Aye. Senator Bailey.
Nay.
Senator Banerjee. Aye. Senator Castellanos.
Aye.
Senator Garcia Vasquez.
Aye.
Senator Johnson.
Aye.
Senator Mosley.
Nay.
Senator Sanchez Martinez.
Aye.
Senator Tovar.
Aye.
Senator Von Boris.
Aye.
I vote.
Senator M.
Aye.
Senator Cowell. Aye. Senator Nguyen.
Aye.
Senator Schulte.
Aye.
And Senator Quigg-Toro.
Aye.
Yes votes, so the motion passes.
All right, so Dr. With, if it's okay with you, you're welcome to give the COVID update at all our Senate meetings for the rest of the session. All right, do we have any more questions for Dr. With? All right, Senator Saloni?
Hi, Dr. Witt.
Hello.
Thank you for my question is there any legal or otherwise any sort of by the university for all of the classes?
There's nothing illegal about it, no.
Is there another
I don't want to speak for academic affairs in that particular way. I'm happy to ask a question and get it back to you.
And one more question, makeup work in the case that somebody has COVID. This is anecdotal, so I know you the individual cases, but last semester, my friend who got COVID was still required to submit all of her assignments, like at not just submit, but at the deadline. Like for example, a week that she had COVID, she had to find into classes and otherwise get the like absence of. So is that like they were following correct policy, or would it have been from
Anytime a student has a question about what they're required to do, if they feel like they need help, I would always encourage them to talk to their instructor and then the department chair and the dean as part of that process. If you need somebody to advocate on your behalf, the dean of student's office will always be able to help you do that. There's not a requirement that a faculty member allows student sick time. Attendance is required. Some faculty members, for example, say you can miss 2 class periods a semester. And my son, I'll make fun of my son, thought that meant that, well, I can be absent twice, but then when I'm sick, I'm just going to tell him I'm sick and he has to let me off. No, he gave you twice to be sick, dude. So you just took him off. It's just up to the instructor to make those determinations on whether they count for attendance or they don't count for attendance. Those rules still apply. They're still up to the faculty member. But if a student has issue with them or has concerns about them, they can always ask their instructor. If they don't hear what they think they should hear, department chair is next. If they don't hear what they think they should hear there, they can go to the dean. But in any of those cases, if they feel uncomfortable having that conversation, the dean of student's office can help advocate on their behalf. Does that help? Yes. But keep in mind, the syllabus is the faculty member's contract with you. So each class is different. Making sure you understand that what's in them is really important.
So just one quick follow-up. So professors aren't required to change any kind of deadlines due to COVID or.
I know of no blanket requirement.
Point of information, who seconded Senator Howell's motion? Dr. Witt at some meeting?
You might be afraid to raise their hand because they're going to get blamed for me coming every time.
Big Adams, okay, thank you.
Any more questions? All right, seems like no.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thank you, Dr. Witt, for
Sure.
circulating.
My email address is my name, elizabeth.witt@unt.edu. Shoot me emails. Anything specific that you want help with, I'll be happy to work to get you an answer. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for wearing your mask. Get vaccinated. Stay safe. Make sure you do the testing.
Next time we'll make sure that email's on the screen so everyone can access that as well. All right. Next item on the agenda is executive reports. So we can have our executive members come to the front and provide their executive reports. Again, reminder for everyone, each executive member will provide their report. After they're done, there'll be a portion for questions, and then we'll move on down the list. Our interim program director, JT, go ahead, start it off.
Mic check, mic check. How's everybody doing? How's everybody feeling? It was very draining. But for a quick second before I begin my executive reports, interns, would you just stand up really quickly? And interns say, what's up, Senate? What's up, Senate? The interns are officially here. I'm so proud of them. I'm so glad they're here. Some of them have already started their executive board shadowing, so I did want to shout y'all out in this meeting. I'm very happy for all of you to be here. We have 14 in attendance today, so thank y'all all for being here. Y'all can take y'all seats now. Thank y'all for being here. All right, so this week I did talk with Casey. We did plan for that first meeting, which will be held on this upcoming Monday. The interns will be having a dinner with exec members and also Dr. with herself as well. So interns, you'll have some more intimate time, even though she'll be coming to more talk about her role as the VP of Student Affairs and exactly what her division does for students on campus, but also too, we might can talk about COVID as well. Exec shadowing has begun. So again, thank you to all of our executive members. By a show of hand, interns, raise your hand if you've already begun that exec shadowing. By a show of hands, who already started. Okay, so quite a few interns already start their exec shadowing, and I'm very happy about that. And the rest of them will begin very soon this week. And so thank you to exec for being patient with us and maneuvering that with us as we begin that. We did set up for, I have started the application on worksheets to set up for our interns to do one-on-ones with me. They're required to do 2 a semester, so that will be officially up next Monday as well to get that out to them. Also too, the name tag orders, I will be going over that with the interns hopefully by this Friday to make sure that all their pronouns and their names are correct so that we can get that purchase order in for their name tags so they can run their name tags in their polos. And last but not least, the moment that all of you have been waiting for everybody now, is to reveal to you who your pair is if you were paired with an intern. So you can see your name is on here. Interns is your first time seeing this as well with your senators. I know this is a lot, but don't worry, we'll have a connection with you just as I did with the exec. We're sending you an email of the emails from there, and David and I will also be helping facilitate that. Did you want to add anything, David, before I go into expectations for this?
Just everyone, I can say the list before you go on, just since there's 2 slides. So if you want to say interest name, I can say a senator name, and back and forth, make it fun.
Okay. So intern Garcia is
With Senator Saloni.
So please raise your hands. Yeah.
Go up here.
Okay, and then intern Sarah.
With Senator Victoria. Raise your hand, Victoria.
Okay. Intern Modesto can be here today, but he's not here.
Is with Senator Beige.
Intern Justin.
With Senator Bailey.
Intern Emma.
Is with Senator Rachel, which is not present.
Intern Alyssa.
Is with Senator Gracie.
Intern Karen.
Is with Senator Andy. The front.
Intern Deborah.
Is with Senator Leah.
Intern Daphne.
Is with Senator Maria up front.
I love the energy. Intern Jessica.
Is with Senator Grant. Jessica, over here.
Intern Anna.
Is with Senator Jackie.
She couldn't be here today. We'll get that. Intern Juan.
Is with Senator JD.
Intern Rose.
Is with Senator Luke.
And then intern Emily.
Is with Senator Alejandro.
And just before we get off of this, I know that some of you senators did not get paired with an intern. Please remember that you can, if you have a passion project and an intern wants to get involved in the bill that you are working on, they will reach out to you. I want to be very clear on this part. If an intern hears about a bill, and David will be talking and communicating, if they hear about a bill or something that you're working on, if they would like to partner with you, we will make sure that they are reaching out to you. Does that make sense? Not the other way around. And also too, on expectations, and I'm going to wrap it up. We want to make sure that the interns are having a good time. You all approved a great budget for them last week that is going to prepare them with all the tools they need to be successful leaders inside of SGA and outside of that. But please do not make their experience internally so turmoil that they don't want to continue throughout SGA throughout their years. So does that make sense? Because the goal is to reach as many students as possible, but also keep people within SGA if we can. Does that make sense? And it's all going to be based on you. And me and David are going to have a 0 tolerance policy. If we hear anything about interns feeling pressured, if we feel like you're doing too much, we will address it. And I will address it straightforward with you. David.
Adding on to it, going on based off what JT said, we have 0 tolerance for anything. You will definitely have a conversation with me, and I just hope we don't get there, but it's not going to be pretty.
Okay, cool. Does anybody have any questions for me?
But yay, interns!
Right. Also, just to note, interns, you guys are able to.
All right, Senator Johnson, go ahead with your first question.
This is just for my intern real quick. Could you stay after the meeting, or do you have to go?
Or let's do this.
You can stay after. Okay, cool.
That can be communicated later.
Yeah, we can do this afterwards, just so we can wrap up executive reports. Director of Diversity and Inclusion, Alexis, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. So what I've been doing for the past week is that I went to pre-training with Assistant Director Zoe Brown for the self-defense class with UNT Police. That will be happening September 28th. Sorry, I'm getting my dates mixed up now. But we had that yesterday on September 7th. Went pretty well, and Zoe can go into more detail about that in her report. Then I am also setting up a meeting with UPC, University Program Council. I don't want to get her name wrong. Maha Owan. I feel like I got the name wrong, and I apologize to her. She listens to this. Regarding a domestic violence event happening October 11th. Awan is the Education and Awareness Coordinator for UPC and runs the event on a Tuesday. If anyone is interested in that, feel free to email me at sgainclusion@unt.edu. Again, that's sgainclusion@unt.edu. Feel free to email me regarding that if you are interested in helping me and the ambassadors with that. Also, I am setting up a meeting with Dr. Wick, who is just here, for next week sometime regarding general concerns regarding diversity in faculty and staff. I don't know if you've noticed in some of your classes or whatever, there are not a lot of people of color. Thank you. Yeah. Like, for example, I just had my first African American. Kind of interesting. I'm a senior. So yeah, so I'm going to talk to her regarding that. I will hopefully have Zoe and or anyone else on my executive staff there when I get the date of time we will have. Then I have with the ambassadors, the meetings will be on Fridays at 9:30 in the morning via hybrid model, via Teams, and via in person. We will be starting projects with other execs, such as Maya's projects for outreach director, Bella, if she needs anything, and anyone else on the exec team. And then I have also received an email from Olivia Martinez from Division of Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Access, also known as a Division of IDEA. They want to learn more about me and Assistant Director Zoe's commitment to diversity and inclusion, and her quote, aim is to gather information regarding current student efforts to support diversity and inclusion at UNT, end quote. I have told her my availability for next week and hope to hear back soon. I got that email today at around 4. So I'm hoping to hear back from a response so we can set up that meeting. Hold on. And then lastly, I hope to meet with Karen, my fellow intern. Hi, intern. Hi, Karen. Woo! Who is an intern. And on Thursday, I hope Thursday works.
I can see
Next Thursday. Yes, next Thursday. We were trying to set up a time to meet to get lunch. I greatly look forward to being with her and having her shadow me, not only with me, but with Senator Grant. Sorry, Senator, Senator McDowell. I'm so sorry about that. I'm terrible at names, no faces, not names. I know it's Grant right in front of me. Sorry, Grant. But yes, I look forward to working with her and having her shadow me and do a lot of things, and I hope she stays the SGA. But yeah, that's my report. Any questions? Oh, sorry.
All right, Senator Morales, go ahead.
What day did you say the self-defense training would be held?
Zoe can go into more depth with that, but that will be on September 28th.
Senator Johnson?
So just real quick, I don't know if it was from the report last week from you or Zoe, but last time it says that the UPD was kind of giving a little bit, dragging their feet.
That was me.
That was Zoe, and Zoe will go into more detail about that.
Okay, thank you.
And also, I meant to add to my report, I am working with the Hispanic Heritage Month. We are going to be planning events for that, and I hope to have Outreach Director Maya there as well, and some of the ambassadors there as well. And lastly, I forgot about this as well. We will be tabling at the off-campus. I don't know the exact term for it, but it happens now the 15th of September from 10 to 1. No, 4 to 6. I apologize. I'm getting all my dates and times mixed up. But yes, that will be happening, and I hope to have 2 or 3 ambassadors there. But if you guys are interested, I would not be totally opposed to having a senator or someone else there. So yes.
All righty. Any questions? Any more questions? Senator Velasco?
All right, just for minute purposes, you said you're going to be tabling off campus. What day? What time?
Not off campus, but for an off campus.
It's on campus services.
Off-
It's going to be from 4 to 6 on a Wednesday, so it would be right at the beginning.
Beginning of a Senate meeting, so if you can't make it, I understand, but I would love to have some interns. I guess senators, you guys can't make it, but if some interns, I could work with JT on that, and some ambassadors, if you guys would like to table, I would feel really happy with that, so yes.
All right. No more questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Alexis, Zoe, our Assistant Director of Diversity and Inclusion, go ahead.
Good evening, y'all. If my teeth chatters because I'm very cold in here. So, as Senator Johnson said, I'm still looking for availability with the exec to meet. So when we met this week, we met this week for the self-defense course to go to the pre-training with Kathleen. We had about 10 minutes to chit chat. We couldn't do it officially. We have to wait for Chief Reynolds and the other people that'll be there for us to actually have a conversation about it. But as I stated, my biggest push points for the town hall event, I was met with a little bit of pushback. So I feel like it'd be a very interesting meeting, and I will share that with y'all in the Senate meeting following whenever we do meet. So as far as everything else in my report, like I said, we had a self-defense course, which consisted of Officer Costi, Lieutenant Bosch, Kathleen, and Alexis. We discussed the outline for the course that we're going to be holding, where we were able to approve and modify language in the course material for the training. The prospective date has been confirmed. We just need to go through with the promotion of it. September 28th, 2021, from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. So I do want to know, it will be 4 hours, but it's very informative. I completely urge everyone to attend. I know it sounds like a long time, but you will get a lot out of it. So as Alexis said, I was contacted by Jacqueline Sanchez Martinez regarding planning for Hispanic Heritage Month. So my perspective idea so far is just do a social media spotlight for important leaders in their community. But if you guys want to email sgainclusion@unt.edu with more ideas for ways to get more involved, just to show them that, some support on campus for their month. As far as my meetings, I will be meeting with the Latinx Hispanic Student Union President Jocelyn Cyprian tomorrow at 2 p.m. On Zoom. And like JT said, I met with my intern, Deborah. I love her so much, y'all. Stand up, Deborah, stand up. Yes, ma'am. Okay. And then for next week's agenda, I will be joining via Zoom for President Neal's Diversity Inclusion Advisory Meeting. And that is all.
All right, any questions for Zoe? All right.
Thank you.
Questions? All right, Outreach Director Ryan, go ahead.
Good afternoon, y'all. This week I've been focused on scheduling the final advocacy committee meetings so we can establish chairs and vice chair roles in each committee. My purpose in doing this is so that committees can start planning regular bi-weekly meetings. So if new members are added, it's a seamless process and committees can start focusing on their goals moving forward. I've also created individual team channels for each committee, as well as added appointed committee members who have already met for further communication about future meetings. I recently created another time availability Google Doc form for the rest of the committee meetings that are being held next week, September 13th through the 17th. If you were recently appointed to a committee that hasn't met yet, please check your emails so the schedule can be finalized by Friday. I've also created the first draft of the town hall survey that I want to provide to students during the residence town halls. This survey has multiple choice and pre-response questions, as well as rate your experience out of 1 to 10 questions, so we can have multiple forms of feedback. To ensure the students actually participate in the survey, I want them to show proof that they've completed it, like the end screen that says, thank you for completing the survey, in exchange for a free SGA t-shirt or stickers. So we get the feedback and they get the free merch and everyone's happy. I also left open-ended questions at the end of each survey, like if you could change one thing about your campus experience, what would it be? Or what other issues would you like SGA to focus on in upcoming town halls? Because I really want to emphasize that we truly care about their campus experience and that their voices are being heard. As far as scheduling goes for the resident town halls, we've heard back from Gina Vanacore, who is the Executive Director of Housing, and she has passed the dates on to assistant directors of each residence hall to make sure there are no scheduling conflicts. And actually right before the Senate meeting, I got an email that all the dates are great. So we're now in the process of beginning the resident town halls. So that's my executive report. If you guys have any questions. Awesome.
No questions? Thank you so much, Maya. Let's have our student allocation director, Bella, give a report.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bella. I use she, her pronouns. I'm allocations director. A lot of exciting news. We had our first Eagles Nest committee meeting last night. Very great. We onboarded the committee really fast. We also had 3 applications to approve at our first meeting, which is a lot. We approved all of them. We allocated $3,402 last night, which is a good amount of money. Per policy, I'll be sending the events that we approve, their marketing materials to the comms department. And Matthew will publish them on our website, all of our social medias, with a statement about, materials being at this event and the marketing are funded by Eagles Nest. I urge all of you to attend Eagles Nest events. They are SGA events once we fund them. If you want to be meeting with your constituents, this is a great way and giving these events a lot of money. So you should be attending them as senators. Total allocations for the year now are at $6,117. We have $52,570 left for the year. It's a lot of money still. So we've approved 5 events, and it's only the 3rd week of school. It's looking good. Organizations are excited to put on events this year. First route committee meeting will be next Monday. They'll be onboarded. We currently don't have any route applications yet, but I am expecting some from some organizations. Resource meetings will now be in the language building. Not happy about it, but that's where they are. In 323 every Tuesday. I've hosted multiple individual one-on-ones too with orgs that can't meet on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. I'm planning a resource meeting for our friends at Disco Park too, just so they don't have to drive over here. So dates unknown yet, but that will be happening. I've met my 2 interns, one's here, hi. And I'm excited for them to kind of see committees and how allocations works this year. I was appointed to the City and State Relations Committee, and I've been working with student activities to help them purchase items for these orgs. Any questions? Nope, thank you.
All right, our Chief of Staff, Casey, go ahead and give your report.
Hello, in-person senators. Hello, online senators. For my executive report, a lot of it has been event applications and room reservations. So for the whole year, we have all the intern meeting rooms reserved, all the route and Eagles Nest committee meeting rooms reserved. I'm in the process of getting the ambassadors rooms reserved for the year. As well, I don't know if you got Matthew's video ready to play, but if you could find it, if possible, I'll go ahead and do his report in a second if you're unable to get it. I've been working with Matthew when it comes to branding as well, so that's been very, very intensive because he's redoing the philosophy of how SGA is marketed, as well as I've been working with Maya on the town hall circuit, going through the specifics. Maya's done a very great job of getting this survey type Qualtrics up and ready to go to use. So we're excited to put that on. So we have meetings set up. Got meeting set up for Devin with the Chancellor, as well as a tour of Frisco next Friday. So that's going to be very exciting to get that on the schedule. So we also have tables approved at Founders Day, which Devin will also be speaking at, as well as the Campus Services Open House. Unfortunately, that is going to be right before your Senate meeting, so I won't be able to, but our lovely ambassadors will be. So they'll be there, as well as I'll be meeting tomorrow at noon with the homecoming crew, talking about a donation drive and some of the specifics of that going on. That's going to be late November, a little bit early for us, but we're going to start early and get that done with. David, did you manage to get the video? No? Okay.
Where it can be located?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and if there's no other questions for myself. All right, I'm going to pass the mic off to the president, and then I'll forward you the video.
Thank you. So aside from kind of what I've been doing with the other directors, and they've done a fantastic job, I do appreciate their work. Committee appointments, that's a continuing effort, and I am continuing it. I did direct the outreach directors to extend each of the committees by 2 seats, so now each have 7 for advocacy committees. Each committee has 7 instead of 5. We're working on the logistics on the back end, but we'll also advertise that those seats are available once the logistics are figured out. A few committees are kind of on the significant deficiency side in terms of how many people we have on them are the Athletic Council, Faculty Mentor Committee, Disability Inclusion Committee, Distinguished Lecture Series. The Distinguished Teaching Selection Committee has 2 seats on it, but we don't have one. It's usually, we have some issues trying to get that filled. So if anyone's interested in any of those, please feel free to reach out. I know that each of you have filled out the application, but feel free to email me if you have an interest in those. Unfortunately, we did have another student pass away, a graduate student named Justin Solomon, and they were respected by the Graduate Student Council, and the flag is being pulled at half staff right now. We're working with Bonnie Moore from the Denton Vote Group to get a new lockbox. So if you've been in the office, you might see a weird little black box in the office. We don't know what happened to the key to that. So we're going to get a new lockbox, and basically that box is there to collect voter registration cards, which we can then send to the appropriate people for processing. And so we do hope to have more people registered to vote this year, as is always the interest of the SGA. So we're working on MOU developments. We're still waiting for a response from GSC, but we're also still working on some changes on our side as well. So that's an ongoing process. That's something we're still working on. As Casey mentioned, I do have a meeting with Chancellor Rowe tomorrow for about 30 minutes. It's going to be somewhat introductory, but we want to go over some stuff. There were some Eagles Nest items brought to me for expenditures over $1,000. I was more than happy to approve 2 of them. Unfortunately, I had to reject 1 of them. But we did end up giving out, I believe Bella said something like $3,000 last night, and so I appreciate the Eagles Nest Committee's work on that. The Fine Arts Series Committee, the first meeting is on Friday, which I chair, so I'm looking forward to that. There's something happening in the Faculty Senate. I don't know what the result came from this, but it is technical, but the way that the committee is formatted is changing, and hopefully they'll allow for more students on the committee to provide a stronger student voice on that committee. So I'm very interested. I'm going to follow up with Mike Fleming, who's the coordinator, to see what the results were of that. As Casey said, we're doing a scheduled visit to Frisco. Ever since we were running our campaign, that's been a strong thing for me, is making sure that those underrepresented colleges are getting that representation. And also we're trying to make sure we're doing equally important work over at Disco. But Frisco and New College, I don't think we've, to the best of my knowledge, I've ever been out there. So we're very excited to begin that precedent. We did conduct our first Supreme Court application interview. We don't have a lot of applications, so if you happen to know anyone who'd be interested, let them know that the applications are open. We're working on engagement on our end to make that more publicized, but that's an ongoing process. Finally, we did meet with TWU leadership. David and I, we met with Theo, who's the TWU SGA president, and briefly their vice president. They have a very fascinating organization there, and we're very excited to see what we can get done with them this year. I think we're both very aligned in our community interests, and so we want to make sure that we're doing what we can collectively to benefit the people in our community, the Denton community. So be on the lookout for more partnership opportunities with them, but that's the extent of our interaction at this time. I think that concludes my report, so if there's any questions, I'm available.
Any questions for Devin? Gracie, go ahead.
Sorry, I just didn't hear you the first time you said it. It was spring application for.
I know I mentioned Supreme Court applications. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah, Supreme Court applications. Not just Supreme Court, but also the Election Board and the Advocate General. All of those need applicants. We have about 4 applicants across those 3 sections of the judicial branch, and we have, I think it's 5 or 7 justices. I need to review that. We have 4 election board members plus the commissioner, and then we have an advocate general. So we have a lot of positions to fill. We've sent out some emails to organizations who might have an interest in that kind of thing, but we're still kind of working on trying to get that message out in different ways. But at this point, it's somewhat on the west side in terms of turnout.
Senator Velasco.
President Skinner, just to confirm, the election commissioner is a paid position, correct?
The election commissioner is a paid position, yeah.
Any more questions? All right, no? All right, thank you, Devin. Let's look at Matthew's video report. I'm gonna go ahead and play that.
Hello, Senate. I'm unfortunately in classes during your guys' meetings, so we decided the least I can do is record my briefs so you guys can see my face, and please do email me at any point with any questions. I'm just in a long format Zoom class right now, so if I I may be able to get back to you in a timely manner, which is great for clarification purposes. First thing on my agenda is asking the Senate if we could have a meeting. Being the marketing side of the SGA, I've spoken extensively with executive staff about figuring out how we define the SGA to the public, and I would like to include the Senate's voice in finding this definition. By marketing, I don't mean selling a product, but many marketing principles do apply to us. A typical nonprofit is actually 90% marketing, especially if they're gathering donations. In a similar vein, our product may be advocacy. It could be a voice and a place to bring problems. But when we're trying to engage with that, we want to talk about how we are the unity, or how this organization is driven by cohesion. Similarly to product being more of a concept, our price is just their participation or interests. That being said, there are important things we do not address as an organization that I would like to speak with the Senate about. Finally, for what I've been doing, here you go. I've brought 2 people onto the comms team so far. I will be updating the flyer with their feedback, and I'm bringing them on board, which includes Microsoft Teams, bringing them onto the Shared Figma, which is a program where we could all design live in real time, helping them understand what my budget is, what I can and cannot do, brainstorming the best ways to move forwards with this new help. I'm developing a priority system for socials management. You can see it behind me right here. And I'm working on our advertising capabilities and messaging. On top of these things, I'm still fixing up all of the photography and the video. Here's that video edit. The small iterative changes I'm making to the logo and other things are also still under development. I do want to start informing you guys of my timeline for things. Starting next week, you'll see the deadline set, and I'll make a full path, and you'll be able to see what step of that path I'm on with each design project. On top of that, please understand that any major design overhaul realistically takes about 50 hours of work over the course of 1 week, and that's if I'm in a class or at a design firm. A systemic overhaul takes around 200 hours and 1 entire month, and that's with a team. But on top of designing, I'm running the digital marketing scheme. I'm being your guys' photographer, editor, small events planner, and planning collaboration with other UNT socials, which just means reaching out to the Division of Student Affairs and having them put some kind of advocacy post for us on their Instagram, or like the town hall meetings can go onto the union's Instagram, that kind of thing. Yeah, speaking of other UNT socials, I'm in talks with the Office of Student Visions, and they still haven't given me website access yet, but I'm in talks with them to push marketing of major events and advocacy posts onto the union Instagram. And my team members are also looking at the UNT app as a way to start conversations and look at what people are talking about. I do look forward to our personal meeting, and you can contact me at sgacom@unt.edu. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Matthew.
Yeah, so Matthew has done a great job. He's really redefining what our comms director does. So it's most of the stuff goes over my head when he talks the specifics about editing. He just wanted to add a few other things after he had already made that video. If you notice the video, the banner colors are a little weird because he's preparing it to be put on the website. Our goal, hopefully, is to put that video as our background photo on the front page instead of the current photo from like 3 years ago. So we'll have a running video. But yes, if you have any questions for Matthew, you can email them at sgacom@unt.edu.
All right, awesome. Now it's my turn. First. All right, so my report, make this very quick. Had a meeting with 2 deans, College of Information and Education. Those have been completed. I'm now working on my second round of deans, so that'll be the College of Business, Class, Engineering. It covers a couple more. if senators are interested in having those meetings, if you haven't met with your dean, I would really appreciate y'all, you can email me so we can collaborate on that front as well. Senate appointments. So the application is now live. I have received emails from prospective students are interested in becoming a senator, so I've been emailing that out. I'll make sure that marketing materials are going to be released by tonight regarding that front. Hopefully, Senate officers, we can meet afterwards. I don't know if you received my email, and now we can meet in a time just to discuss certain things. And of course, I've been updating our website, making sure anything regarding Senate is most up to date. I'm trying to make sure the coding side of it is all nice, so it doesn't have broken code on that. So I do apologize if anything looks funky, but I'm just going to be, I'm going to try to be quick on that. So, and of course, if you have any questions, you can email me at sgavp@unt.edu. Any questions? All right, no, awesome. So let's continue to new business. So let's do approval of minutes. That was submitted by Senator Velasco. Let me have that file pulled up. Just 1 second. Oh, that's the issue. Give me 1 second. I can pull it up over here. Let's do this. Sorry, guys. I'm maneuvering 2 devices. Awesome. Okay. Any issues with our minutes? Were there any issues with our minutes? Scroll down. All right, any issues with our minutes? All right. And then unanimously approved them.
Did all of you receive the email with the minutes and the voting records?
Close that. Let's move on to the next item on the agenda. Alrighty. So standing committee. So that's something that it's for our senators that weren't present. So Sophia, I know that who is not on a Senate standing committee? Okay, Ted. All right. So since y'all 2 weren't here, you had to step out early. So we have 4 committees for the year. We have Campus Life, Environment, Diversity and Inclusion, Internal Senate Committee, and Legislative Affairs. Just want to reiterate that y'all need to be in at least 1, and there's no limit on how many y'all are on. And of course, y'all can quickly read the objectives of each committee on the PowerPoint. Now when it's a good time for me to proceed because we need y'all to get into a committee. Sophia, do we need more time? All right, let's get that form pulled up. So we're now in a period of nomination. So before we move on, let me make sure I have that file pulled up. Can you all see my screen? Yes. All right. So Senator Sophia and Senator Ted, the floor is open for any nominations. You can nominate yourselves for any committee, or Senator Mosley. Yeah. Oh, yes. Sorry. Senator,
who's starting?
Andy.
Mr. Speaker, it's sufficient to just vote on what committees someone would like to go to, according to, what is this? Section 3, item M. Oh, sorry, it's Article 1. Yeah. So we can just vote on whoever wants.
Yeah, I need y'all to nominate yourselves for this, so we can
Do
just
we,
vote on it.
do we nominate someone else, or do we just let them?
No, that's for them. This is, y'all three that are not on a committee, you can nominate yourself. Let's first do campus life and environment. Does anyone want to be on the committee? No? Okay, moving on. Diversity and inclusion.
I nominate Senator Mosley for Diversity and Inclusion Committee.
Okay. Anyone else? I'm blind. MOS. Okay, I was right. Okay. All right. Anyone oppose? Nope. Unanimously approved then. Internal Senate Committee. Any nominations? Y'all two? Nope. All right. Legislative Affairs.
I nominate.
Go ahead. Ted.
Senator Ted nominates himself for the Legislative Affairs Committee.
And then Sophia.
I also nominate myself for the Legislative Affairs Committee.
Can you help me with your last name? It's VOM.
It's correct.
Okay.
Well, it was correct. No, you had it right the first time. VOMBORIS.
Okay. Anyone oppose their nomination on the Legislative Affairs? No, unanimously approved. Awesome. We can move on to the next item on the agenda. Also, for y'all senators, y'all can start communicating when y'all want to meet. In that first meeting, super important is y'all decide who the chair and vice chair is. There's a whole procedure in the bylaws for that, but y'all would have to meet on your individual time. Senator Wen. Yeah, of course. I'm also going to post this on Teams. So campus life, environment, inclusion, internal Senate committee, legislative affairs. Okay. Yes, Gracie. Very sorry.
Are we able to switch?
You want it to be removed or from be the third committee and be added to a different one? Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Senator Sophie, like to remove herself from the internal Senate committee and apply for the.
Okay. Is there a second?
Senator Torres, second.
Okay. Anyone opposed? Alrighty. And it's approved. Alright. Yay. Anything else before we move on? Senator Ted. No, sorry, my God. Senator Luke, I'm sorry. All next to each other.
Did we remove Senator Whitford, former Senator Whitford from the list?
Yes. Would you like to make that motion?
I motion to remove former Senator Whitford from the.
Can you say that again? Number say I move.
I move to remove former Senator Whitford from the legislative affairs.
Is there a second?
Senator Moses, second.
All right. Is there anyone opposed? No. Okay. I was gonna make that announcement as well. Senator Forrest did resign from the Senate just due to a conflict issue. I hope, or I wish he can, or sorry, I hope he returns in the spring through an appointment. So I know I'd give that option as well. So any other thing to this list? Okay, let's move on to the next item on the agenda. Tabling and office hours. Okay. So they start on Monday, September 13th. Everyone has given me their office hours.
For anyone that's doing outside of the union, just partner with me on for that verification element, or if I need to be there or the paid executive member needs to be there, then we can definitely accommodate that. But we can partner so we can get that verified as well. Remember that it's once a week, and also tabling has to happen this month. So I highly suggest y'all getting on that and getting it by Friday so we can quickly get everyone approved, because that's going to take minimum 5 business days. So, and I said we need them in 2 weeks so we can get Devin to sign and Krista. Remember that tabling does replace office hours for that week. So there's, let's say I have office hours next week, but I'm actually tabling. You don't have to do 2 separate hours for that. The solicitation form, I did put it in the chat because I know Senator Brown was asking for that. We're taking care of your stuff. I'm going to partner with Sergio because it's been a while for Discovery Park, how the process is going to look. So I will definitely be communicating with my any senators that are going to Disco Park on that front. Biggest thing is make sure that you're communicating on any personal social media accounts where people can find you. And we'll also, if you're going to partner with me, we can get that on the SGA social media accounts. Kind of that was an issue last year. I want to make sure that students know what's going on, and I can do regular posts every week. Senator Grant, what's your question?
Would there be a form, or do we just email you saying, hey, can you put my office hours out for this time?
What I'm going to do, I'm just going to do them weekly. I'm going to try to on Monday, and I can't promise you, but if not, I will do it myself. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, Senator Queen-Vitora.
Sorry if you already explained this, but if we're not going to be in the union, how do we verify our office hours?
You will just partner with me. We can talk afterwards. We can figure out who to talk to. If not, again, Senate officer, if they're nearby, or can also do an office hours with you, can be there, and or a paid executive member. But biggest thing about office hours, y'all, is if you have any issues or concerns, please talk to me. This should be time for you to get anything done regarding the Senate, any legislation, talking to people. This time be valuable since it's 1 hour of your week to do Senate business besides our Senate meetings. So please take advantage of that. Again, do not let tabling or don't make sure that we're doing tabling forms in advance. Don't procrastinate to the last minute, because if it's not done by the end of September, then that's an absence. You get max of 3, and after 3, you're removed from the Senate. So I want to make sure that everyone's being on top of it. Another thing I told my executive members, if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, they're not going to sign. My biggest thing is I want to make sure every senator is doing their job, since feedback that I got from deans is that a couple senators are not as active. So I want to change that perspective, because we have a big responsibility now that we're coming out of COVID. This is a perfect opportunity to restart our communication and our reputation with the Senate body. So I want to make sure that we're being proactive and active, either in our college, for our constituency, wherever we are, and we're making sure that we're doing the best we can to represent our constituency. Okay, any questions regarding office hours or tabling? Senator Castellanos.
Just to clarify, you were saying it doesn't have to be like, if it's tabling and office hours in the same week, it doesn't have to be 2.
That's correct.
Does the tabling have to be when the office hours would have been?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless you want to change it, you just need to contact me on that. But I'm pretty flexible when it comes to office hours and tabling if we need to move it around. But my thing is being consistent, because overall that's going to be on the website. I don't want to be changing it for 1 week and they're like, wait, I thought it was this day, now it's not. Makes sense. But hopefully our present social media will also help with that front. Any other questions regarding office hours and tabling? All right, if you have any concerns or issues, please email me at sgavp@unt.edu. All right, meeting with deans. So again, I know there's been a couple that I have not had meetings with. I'm going to try to do my whole round. If you are interested in partnering with me and we can be collectively in a meeting, that'd be amazing, so we can bounce off ideas. I know Education senators, y'all are amazing. I met with your deans. They said they're on the roll already. They're a part of the diversity and inclusion committee for the College of Education. So overall, great start. And I'm going to send out more information about expectations and overall making sure that first meeting's introductory, figuring out what to do in those situations, and overall having a pretty good relationship with your dean, because for the most part, the vibe that I'm getting is a lot of deans are ready to be there, but because there's not communication from senators, it's been fluctuating each year. Senator Grant.
Which deans from the colleges have you met with so far?
I met with HPS, I met with information, I met with education. So if I have not said anything, that means I haven't met with your dean yet. So, any other question regarding deans? Senator, that's just my weakness.
So if we want to partner with you in terms of having the conversation with our dean, do we just reach out to you through email or?
Yes. Please email me saying, hey, David, I am interested in having a meeting with you and the dean. Because I know sometimes, how does that look like? I'm learning with y'all, especially this is the first time I'm meeting with a couple of our deans. So it would be even better, the more the merrier. But of course, hopefully we'll partner with that. Senator Lasso.
You said you met with education information.
Education.
Right, education information.
HBS. Okay. Any other question? All right, let's continue to the next item on the agenda. Legislation. So remember that legislation is due, the hard deadline is Sunday at midnight. The soft deadline for any feedback, technically it's not submitted, is Friday. So just make sure that we have that in the back of our heads. Everyone needs to submit a piece of legislation by hopefully before the last Senate meeting. If not, you'll be removed. Senator Johnson.
If we partner with senators, does that count as one, or we need to put one out individually?
I will have to think on that, but I encourage y'all to collaborate. But I'm leaning towards everyone individually.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions about legislation? Biggest thing is please reach out to me. I'm here to be a resource, as well as our executive team. I know Devin has been very active during the summer with senators. I know I met with Ted about his legislation in the past. I think that they're pretty okay. I don't think I'm scary. My job is to really make sure that you're thinking about all perspectives and making sure that what we're trying to do is fully effective, or how we implement it is, that what we're trying to do is fully implemented the best way possible. But of course, another big thing is with that, big reasons why we have this room booked is to deliberate on any new business like legislation. So I'm highly encouraging y'all to get our brains working and figure out what we want to do with that, because we are reserving this room in this space. Of course, if we have no business to consider, then we won't have a Senate meeting, but I really want us to really do the best we can and really make a mark this year. So any other questions regarding legislation? It could be anything, member bills and resolutions are an options as well. Grant.
This is just kind of going back to a previous question. So if you're leaning towards an individual senator to oppose legislation in order for it to count, do you enforce that, or is that the student code of conduct? Or is it like where does that authority lie under?
I believe I can figure that out and email you.
Yeah,
with that. Okay. Anything else? I know that's also kind of like an expectation to represent your constituency, so I'll be surprised if you haven't submitted anything. But okay. All right, moving on. Any announcements? Any announcements that you want to share with the world? Anything you wanna know, anything? Resource meetings are Tuesdays, right? Tuesdays at 3? And language 3 to 3. Senator Jackie.
So we're having, oh my God. So we're having our first LHSU meeting tomorrow at 6:30. So I would love if you guys would be interested in attending. I'll go ahead and drop the flyer in the group link so you guys can have like all that information. But yeah.
All right, Senator Powell.
I just want to let everybody know that I am working on a piece of legislation to amend incorrect braille in university buildings. So if anybody happens to know if the braille is either not present or incorrect in any buildings that you frequent, if you could just let me know. It's kind of hard to go to every single building on campus.
I would also partner with Maya, our outreach director. We have a whole committee, the Disability and Inclusion Committee, that I think, even though they haven't met yet, I think individually they can partner me with that. I know I'm part of that, but I can't sponsor legislation because will be conflict of interest since I'm just presiding officer grant.
If it's just like the inquiry, just like saying like, could the committee members just stay after just briefly just to decide this because
they're not here.
Look, the committee members for the internal committee.
Oh, that y'all can talk about after the meeting.
Okay. Look, I'm just putting that out there.
Hispanic Heritage Month is honestly coming out of September, October. LHSU is partnering up with the Multicultural Center. The first event will be the 14th of September, and that will be our Carnaval. It's at 11:30 to 1 p.m. in the South Lawn, and we're going to continue having more events as we go along the month throughout Hispanic Heritage Month. But that's the first one.
I didn't comment to that. They're really fun. Food is there, free food,
Music,
real food.
dancing.
So I definitely encourage y'all. Any other announcements, Ted? You have an announcement? Oh my God, Luke, I am so sorry. It's because I'm sorry.
What's your name?
I'm done. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, Luke. I love you. You know that. CMHT. We're brothers now.
I am creating an organization called Team Society, and it's official. And we'll be hopefully meeting officially once a week, and unofficially like 2 other times. And basically, we're creating space where you can just like hang out, learn about tea, order drinks. So like relaxing, chill place.
Awesome.
Also, the Discord link.
I can also put it in the Teams chat or Teams channel. Well, any other announcements? All right. Next meeting next week. Make sure that we're submitting solicitation forms. That we are also thinking about legislation. All right. If there's no other business to consider, I adjourned this meeting at 7:30 or 7:31 or 7:32 now p.m. And I will stop the recording.